They transferred me to this field hospital because one of their girls was sick, and they sent her home, and then they needed a replacement, and so they finally got to me.
Why? Why did you want to be in the field hospital?
I wanted to be where the action was. I wanted to be doing something. It was just like we sat in England doing nothing. 6 months we sat there all winter doing nothing. And a 100-bed hospital is way behind the lines. You're just doing routine stuff just like I've been doing in the States. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to be in a field hospital where I could really be doing something. I kept saying, I want to go to the field hospital because they're on the front line. And we were sitting there waiting for D-Day. So then when D-Day happened, we knew we were going to go pretty soon. So they put us on a boat about the 3rd day after D-Day. But we didn't land. No, D-Day was the 6th. No, yeah, 3 days after D-Day, they put us on a boat, and we landed on the 12th on Omaha Beach, which was the worst of the fighting. And then these are a few pictures, just see, I've cut this out of a paper. When we landed, we were there on the 12th, but they wouldn't take us ashore during daylight because there were still, every so often, we were just beyond the reach of the bombs, because the bombs would hit in the water around us, in front of us. And so we had to sit there all day. As soon as it started to get dark, they threw a net over the side of the boat, and we all climbed down this net, the nurses, and into an LST. Not T, and LSI. And then these are just pictures of stories from the newspaper. And this is the way we lived. We lived in these tents. This is what we wore, Army fatigues. And that was it, period. We had to send stuff home from England, too, so we didn't have stuff to carry around. This is our mess kit. And we operated out of tents. Our hospital, everything was in tent. The only electricity we had was in the operating room and x-ray. And we were always right behind the front line, within a few miles, within 5 miles usually of the front line. So that when when a soldier was wounded, he was picked up put to the first aid station, where they gave him first aid and always gave him a shot of tetanus and whatever was necessary. And then they put him in ambulances and sent him directly back to our hospital. So we had him within a few hours after they were hit, after they were first hit on the battlefield. And they went into, I sort of drew a picture of this, but they went into the shock tent where they were recorded and given blood and whatever necessary to build them up so that they would be ready for operation. And then they had the operating rooms, and one of the doctors, as soon as he finished whatever operation he was on, he would go over to the shock tent and said which patient is ready. Whichever one was ready, he would take, no matter what it was. There were no specialty, they didn't do any specialty operating. And so he would take the patient that was ready to the operating room, do the operation. As soon as the operation was finished, they'd send him back over to my ward, where's post-op. I always worked post-op. And we worked 12 hours every day, and no let-up, except when we were moving. And we took all the people from OR, came into my ward, and we could hold probably 50 patients in the one. We had huge long tents, and we had Army cots set up, and they were still on the same litter that they were picked up on the front line, still fully dressed, shoes and all, had been through operation, and they came to my ward, and as soon as I had time, I couldn't do it right away usually, but within a couple hours I would get a chance to go over and just take your bandage scissors and cut right straight down through all their clothes. Their clothes would still be on, their shoes and all, and wherever the operation was, they cut that much of the clothes away and cleaned that area, and then did the operation, sent them over to me. So I would just cut all the way through the clothes, all the way down through both legs, through the shoelaces, and then we would kind of lift the patient and pull the clothes out. We emptied their pockets. We had little bags that we tied on the end of their stretchers, and the little bag could hold anything that was in their pocket. Usually would be pictures or just nothing big. And we'd put it in this little pouch and tie it to their stretcher, and then just throw the clothes away because they were no good anyway. They wouldn't cut. And so the patient had zip, had nothing on. None of my patients had any clothes on. They were all naked. And they were on these stretchers. If we had time, we would take them off the stretcher and put them onto the cot. The stretcher was just sitting on top of a cot. And a lot of times they'd be on the stretcher for a day or so. But as soon as we could, we'd put them onto the cot. We had no sheets, no pillows, no pillowcases. They were just laying on army blankets, and you know how rough they are.
Yeah.